It's time to talk LSU baseball with Mike Scarborough and Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball. This is Batter Up.
All right, here we go. It's here, SEC baseball opening weekend, Missouri, LSU. Kendall Rogers in the house. We were delayed. It's March 13th, and we were delayed because he's breaking news of a coaching change. Man, this is a hell of a time, a year for a coaching change.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, Rice, they started out 2-14, and I'll be frank with you, LSU fans are certainly well aware of Rice and, in those battles they had in regionals and supers and things like that. But, I mean, this program was 2-14. They won 23 games last year. They were horrible, 3 years ago. So, Tommy McClellan, their new AD, felt like he needed to make a move. And so what's really interesting about the Rice job is, where do they go from here? Obviously, the guy, we were just talking off air just about David Pierce. I mean, that would be the most obvious guy, former longtime assistant for Wayne Graham. I mean, people forget that even though he was let go at Texas, this was a guy that damn near took Texas to 3 out of 4 Omaha trips, despite the fact, that people thought he was declining, so to speak. So he would make a lot of sense. But I would say this too. To keep this LSU related, I would say keep an eye on, Nolan Cain at Texas, former LSU Tiger, and certainly recruiting coordinator at LSU. And also Will Davis, I think, will be in the mix. The obviously former player at LSU was there in the program under Paul. Will Davis has done a really nice job at Lamar. So keep an eye on those two guys too. I think Rice needs a guy, and I told their AD this a long time ago back during the original hiring process is, they need to have somebody at Rice that, can sell a ketchup popsicle to somebody in white gloves. And I feel like Will and Nolan Cain can absolutely do that.
Man, I need to go. My memory's messing up, but didn't LSU play Rice last year? And we talked about Rice on one of these segments. And we
might have. I have to double check.
Or they came up in something, and maybe it was one of the tournaments in Texas. And we were basically talking about, I was saying, boy, how they've fallen since the Wayne Graham years. And then I don't know, it sounded like the thought was, or what you were saying, what I'm not putting words in your mouth, was it's going to be hard for them to get back to that.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I mean, here's the thing, the landscape for Rice is a lot different. I mean, you've got LSU hot and heavy in the city of Houston, A&M, Texas, SEC, Oklahoma, SEC, TCU's rolling. I mean, that's a lot of competition for a team in the city of Houston. So, the one good thing for Rice is they do have tradition. I think the other thing for Rice is the fact they have, they have big money boosters. I mean, I think if you can show a pathway to winning at Rice, I mean, there's plenty of money around there. There's a lot of business people, ultra wealthy people in Houston that have ties to Rice University. So keep an eye on that.
Well, apologies to the viewers for spending the first 3.5 minutes talking about Rice. But look, if you're an LSU baseball fan and you've followed the program for 20, 30 years, Rice has been intermingled at times in super regionals, and there's been some LSU Rice battles that are memorable. And it's just it really is one of the storied programs, but what they used to be. So
there's no doubt.
Opening weekend, what SEC around the horn? What series are you most looking out for? I know Jay today, we had him, is really complimentary of, he thinks the direction of Missouri as a program. He thinks they're going to be better this year, and with how they're running their program, that he thinks they're going to get better over the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that's a very kind analysis there by Jay. I will say this about Carrick. I do think Carrick is a really good coach. I think he's a very good coach. He's hard-nosed. I like the fact that Carrick has a scouting background. He's had to build a program up from nothing to a winner. So, I mean, he checks a lot of boxes. The problem I think Missouri has is just a really difficult job. Geographically, they're in a cold area. Facilities-wise, they're way behind, pretty much every team in the SEC. Their administration, doesn't really care that much about baseball. So, I mean, this is a perfect example of you can have a really solid coach and it may not even matter. Of course, I mean, they're still early in the Carrick Jackson era, but still, until Missouri shows a strong commitment to college baseball, I don't think they're going to win at a decent clip in the SEC. And here's another thing to consider with Missouri. I mean, this is a program that essentially passed over the opportunity to hire Tony Vitello. And that has not worked out for them very well and has worked out pretty beautifully for Tony.
Absolutely. So going into this SEC play, and I don't know that you've gone over it week by week, but
sure.
Who do you think has the most, who had the most difficult pre-conference schedule in the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I think if you look across this league, I wouldn't really pinpoint anybody as having like an incredibly difficult non-conference schedule. I'm just trying to think. I mean,
has everybody just kind of had one or two games?
Yeah, like nobody really had played a really tough schedule. Everybody kind of had one weekend where they were kind of tested. I think about Tennessee, opening week or the second weekend at Globe or third weekend at the Astros tournament. I think Ole Miss, Texas opening weekend. It's just kind of every team was kind of like that. And so I think we're going to find out a lot about some of these teams. I know you asked a minute ago, what do I think about, opening weekend and what am I kind of keeping my eye on? I mean,
the
storylines are crazy, man. It's just like, okay, Vanderbilt at Auburn, like, how good is Auburn? We don't really know that at this point. Arkansas, Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been a kind of the comeback story in the SEC early this season, but they also haven't played anybody like Arkansas in the 3-game series with Arkansas's pitching. So, will that translate into conference play? You think about Florida and Tennessee. Tennessee, I think they're the last undefeated team in college baseball. Florida, Liam Peterson's been a breakout pitcher for them. Can he knock off Liam Doyle? Kentucky, here they are again. I mean, Nick Mingione's team, like lying in the weeds. They've got a great record again. Nick McKay, last year's Trey Boozer, the Friday night guy. This year, it's Nick McKay from North Dakota State, who's been great, is their Friday guy. So they're sneaky. Alabama and A&M, Justin LeBron, the showcase that he has been so far this year with 11 home runs at A&M, like who knows, like might as well just draw a name out of a hat on what team you're going to see from them this weekend. And then lastly, Missouri at LSU. I think the big thing for me, Mike, when I look at this series is, and Jay would kill me for saying this, but I think LSU is going to have to play bad baseball to lose a game in this series. That's not to say Missouri can't keep one of these games competitive, but if you look at Missouri right now, I was crunching these numbers earlier. If you look at Missouri right now, they're ranked 11th in the SEC in offense. They're ranked the 16th in the SEC in pitching, and they're ranked 16th in the SEC in fielding. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to the box and I'm ranked 16th in pitching, 16th in fielding, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, and the starting pitching rotation is set. It's there's no changes. So it's Anderson, Ianson, and Shores. And so, but just a quote from Jay was, we're looking forward to this weekend. The SEC is a big reason why players choose to come to LSU, and SEC baseball is one of the greatest challenges in college athletics. So, look, that's what you're supposed to say. But LSU's won 12 in a row, and he talked about the 4-game week, and he likes playing more than that, but he'll take it. They're reasonably healthy, but still no Gavin Guidry ready to go. But man, they're just LSU just seems to be clicking. I mean,
for
Jake
sure.
Brown and Dickinson and all these guys, Tanner Reeves. I mean, a lot of these guys are just. He truly does have what he said in the preseason, where he's got that lineup. And, he talked about today where he's got, 14 or 15 guys that can interchange and be starters on any given game day.
Yeah, what's really interesting, and I think he might have even gone over this at y'all's media day there, but I thought it was interesting that it sounds like, Will Schmidt's gonna transition more out of a midweek role to a more important weekend role. So, I mean, again, you wonder, with him being in the mix a little bit more on the weekend, like, I mean, that's just an embarrassment of riches that they have. If you've got the current 3-man rotation, you've got Schmidt a lot more involved on the weekend. And then some of those other pieces, and assuming, Guidry comes back soon. I mean, I'm trying to think of the last LSU pitching staff that I would consider that good. It's been a while.
Yeah,
just overall.
Absolutely. He was asked about the weather. I don't know. He didn't really say about whether they were going to move something around, but so who has the best combination of pitching and hitting in the SEC from your perspective right now?
I would say it's Tennessee and LSU, and there's a pretty sizable drop down after that. I mean, if A&M was hitting at a more consistent clip, I'd throw them in there too, just because of Prager, Lampkin, and Patton on the weekend. But I mean, when you look at what Tennessee and LSU have done pitching wise and the combination of offense, you mentioned Dickinson a minute ago. He's just continued to hit. I feel really good about that. Just about that full transition for him. Those are the two teams for me. I think Florida would have been in that mix, but they lost Kyle Jones, an outfielder for the year. Pierce Coppola is out for a while for them, one of their weekend starters. So, Florida on the back end of the back end of the rotation a little bit have to piece things together. But Liam Peterson on the front end is really good. So I would say Tennessee, LSU, and if A&M hits, if they decide to hit, that would be the other team for me.
All right, let's hear from attorney Kenneth P. Haynes.
Kenny Haynes is a proud 1989 graduate of LSU Law School with a passion for justice. Kenny stands out as the only lawyer in the state, board certified in both appellate practice and family law. Drawing from 34 years of trial experience, Kenny has navigated the most complex aspects of real people's lives. If you need help in Northwest Louisiana with a family issue, legal issue, or a highly skilled trial attorney, call Kenny 318-222-2100.
And there you have it, the unofficial official attorney of TigerBait.com and big LSU baseball game and fan. In fact, he's got a question for you. Let me pull it up.
Is Kenny one of those guys that you love to have him, but you hope you never have to use him kind of deal for you?
Well, that's any attorney, right? He said, who outside the SEC has the best chance to win in Omaha and in the SEC dominance there?
Ooh, I like that question, Kenny. There are a few teams. I think North Carolina for me would be one. I get that they lost the series over the weekend to Stanford, but I still really like the front end of the rotation with Jason DeCaro. I think if you look at the back end their bullpen, Matty Mateus and Luke Stevenson behind the plate. LSU fans certainly well aware of him from last year in that regional. North Carolina would be a team for me. I think Florida State, with Jamie Arnold. Probably for me, the best pitcher in college baseball on Friday nights. That's a good weapon to have, a good luxury to have. And then I also just think, when you look at their offense, as usual, they're knocking the cover off the baseball so far this year. So Florida State would be in there. And then if I was going to have to pinpoint anybody else, maybe like an Oregon State. They have a lot to prove pitching wise, but the top of OSU's lineup is as good as anybody in the country, with the addition of Ivar Arquette, who certainly LSU fans know a little bit about from the portal last year. And then a freshman by the name of Dax Whitney, who's been up to 97, 99 for the Beavers. So keep an eye on the Beavers as well.
Kendall, Jared Jones is hitting 510. Milam is hitting 488. Curiel at 474. Pearson does what Pearson does. Jake Brown at 387, Dickinson at 366, Tanner Reeves at 360. And he's 9 for 25 during the 12-game win streak. Mm-hmm. This lineup is insane for LSU right now.
It's crazy. And one thing that's kind of funny is coming into the season, Jay had told me that, hey, I don't think this is going to be as powerful and as loud as A&M's lineup, because A&M coming into the season was kind of the offensive measuring stick, but he's like, I think we might be as or more balanced than they are. And I think right now, there's an argument to be made that's clearly the best lineup in the SEC. Top to bottom, that to me, that they have the most dangerous options of any team, including Tennessee. I think I'd rather face Tennessee's lineup than LSU's right now.
We had Luis Hernandez, catcher, and is it Connor Bing? Am I saying it right, or Bing?
Binge. Connor Binge.
Binge. Man, he was fantastic. Fantastic interview, that kid. Told us the whole story about how he had got hit in the temple with a baseball when he was 12 years old and didn't play for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and he's another one. I mean, it's just they keep coming out the woodwork. These pitchers and for Jay.
No doubt. And, the thing about it with this team is they're deep in both areas. When you have an SEC season, you have a 56-game schedule. You're going to play hopefully you're playing 4 or 5 weeks in the postseason. It's going to, you're going to have some bumps and bruises. And so I think that's really where this kind of depth comes into play for LSU as well, which is you probably argue they're the deepest team in college baseball right now.
If you look at Connor's photo on a thumbnail for the interview, Michael Cobble at Channel 2 pointed out that he looks a lot like Alan Jackson. He absolutely does with a mustache. But he was a fantastic interview. Folks need to go check that out on our YouTube channel.
I'll have to. I'm actually Googling his name now.
And Hernandez is great because he can speak 2 languages and another catcher that is getting up to speed in a hurry. So
I covered Connor's brother. He's from Montgomery, Texas. It's about 20 minutes from me. Okay.
Yeah, Dallas Baptist transfer.
Yeah, I could see a little bit of Alan Jackson. I don't know if I'd say he looks just like him, but I mean, he could pass as his like.
Well, I give him major props because he knew who Alan Jackson was.
That's a great point. I know who Luke Bryan is or Bailey Zimmerman, but I don't know who Alan Jackson is.
Right. Of course, Alan Jackson used to play at the Cajun Dome in Lafayette. It seemed like every 3 or 4 months. It was like the only act they ever. He was the only act they ever booked.
It was like, how they like at the Sphere in Vegas, how they'll have somebody go play for like a month. Like the Cajun Dome was the Sphere of your time.
Yeah, well, that was in the run where when the country was Garth Brooks early on, Alan Jackson, Clint Black, all
Sammy
that.
Kershaw.
But Alan Jackson, I'm telling you, Sammy Kershaw. Kershaw would probably open up for all them guys. We saw, Kershaw around the Lafayette area because that's where he was from.
Okay, I didn't know that. I was a big Sammy Kershaw fan.
Huh?
I was a big Sammy Kershaw fan. You had a little Mel Tillis.
Yeah, he played a place called the Yellow Rose on Johnson Street in Lafayette.
There you go.
All the time.
See, I know I got my Louisiana country down, man.
Yeah. That was like a 5-year window where I actually tried to get into country music, and then I left it.
You feel miserably?
Went right back to my classic rock.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you a question. So do you like Zydeco?
I hate it.
Oh.
Hate it.
I don't think I even know you anymore.
Every song sounds the same, Kendall. And of course, people say turn in your Louisiana card, but I can't get it.
Boycott this guy. Come on, man.
Yeah. Check my papers.
I bet Buddy likes Zydeco.
I don't know what Buddy likes. He's not a music guy. But yeah. So look, anything else on the way out? Anything you're looking for this weekend? Are you going anywhere? You're going to be at Command Center.
Yeah, I'll be at the first 2 games of Alabama, A&M, and I'll actually see LSU next weekend. Mark Etheridge will be at the Friday game in Austin, and I will be there Saturday and Sunday to cover the Tigers. So Mark has seen LSU, I think, 3 times already this year. I haven't. Aaron saw LSU in Frisco. I have not seen the Tigers in person, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, man, you need to come to Baton Rouge once this season, and then we can do something live in person.
That would be great. That'd be fantastic. I think last year's the only season I didn't get over there for a series. Pretty much every year I get over there.
In fact, you come on a Thursday and we'll do some sort of meet and greet somewhere.
All right. I don't know if LSU fans will want to fight me or meet me.
You might want to bring some pepper spray.
Yeah. I'll have to go through my emails from a couple of weeks ago and make sure they don't come in.
You'll be welcome with open arms here. I wouldn't advise you to go to Knoxville right now.
No. Well, Mike Rooney for us is in trouble in Knoxville because he referred to their stadium as Williamsport. So
y'all keep stepping in it with the Vol fans, don't you?
We kind of lean into it with them a little bit. We have fun with them. It's good. It is awesome. I mean, that's a fan base that 4 years ago did not care about college baseball at all. If anything, it was like, who cares about who's winning in college baseball? Now it's like, this is life.
Yeah.
So I'll take
all right.
it.
Tell everybody how to subscribe to D1 Baseball.
Yeah, man. Just d1baseball.com/subscribe. Right now, I think you can use Omaha 30 to get 30% off a subscription. But yeah, I'll have all sorts of LSU stuff next weekend from Austin. I would imagine there will be a lot of purple and gold in Austin for that one, if I'm willing
Absolutely.
to bet.
All right, Kendall. Thanks,
You got
bud.
it, brother. Be good. Have a good
one.
weekend.
Later, man. Bye.
Later, dude.